The Doge father brought a chainsaw to Washington, and after 130 days, he's saying goodbye. Today, Trump threw Elon a farewell party, but before it started, he threw a party for Trump.
Numbers have just come out which are rather extraordinary, and I thought I'd play a tape of one of the people who I've respected over the years, from Joe Kiernan and Rick Santelli. This just came out, and we'll just play that for a second.
Personal income is up 0.8%. That is almost triple the expectations.
Trump wants to be a Fox News anchor. He throws the sound bites, argues with guests. Welcome to Oval Office primetime tonight. But it was Elon's day.
He's one of the greatest business leaders and innovators the world has ever produced. He stepped forward to put his very great talents into the service of our nation, and we appreciate it. And I just want to say that Elon has worked tirelessly helping lead the most sweeping and consequential government reform program in generations.
$175 billion in waste was doged. Government computers were modernized, and 2% of the workforce accepted very generous severance packages. But we'll always remember Elon when we see the shiny red Tesla. Caroline and Margot took it out for a spin last night, and if you look closely, Stephen Miller's in the back. 47 gave Musk a key to the White House and said he'll be back and forth because Doge is his baby. Just because Musk is leaving doesn't mean Doge is going anywhere. Big Balls is embedded.
This is not the end of Doge, but really the beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end. It was a limited time thing. It's 134 days, I believe, which ends in a few days. So that it comes with a time limit. But the Doge team will only grow stronger over time. The Doge influence will only grow stronger. I could liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government, and I'm confident that over time we'll see $1 trillion of savings and a reduction in $1 trillion of waste and fraud reduction.
Elon was in good spirits, but he had a black eye. Who hit him? Must have been a lefty.
Is your eye okay? What happened to your eye? I noticed there's a bruise there.
Well, it wasn't. I wasn't anywhere near France, so. Yeah, no, I just wasn't around with little X, and I said, "Go ahead, punch me in the face," and he did. Turns out, even a 5-year-old punching you in the face actually does.
That was X that did?
Yeah.
X could do it.
Like Musk said, he wasn't the only one this week to take a beating.
This week, there was a video on board a plane that showed the First Lady of France slapping her husband, Emmanuel Macron. Do you have any world leader to world leader marital advice?
Make sure the door remains closed. That was not good.
Yeah.
No, I spoke to him, and he's fine too. They're fine. They're two really good people. I know them very well, and I don't know what that was all about, but I know them very well, and they're fine.
What's worse, getting a black eye from your wife or your kid? Probably your wife. CNN says it was Washington that gave him the black eye.
He has a black eye, but don't you think that black eye is also going to become a metaphor for 1,000 articles about his time in Washington? You know, this is a guy who was able to conquer basically every industry that he set out to succeed in, and Washington, D.C. may be the only one where he's going away with a black eye.
Stelter doesn't think Musk succeeded in Washington because Stelter thinks anyone who leaves Washington failed. No. Musk did more in 130 days than politicians do in 3 decades, and then he went back to building cars and rockets. He's not just sulking like he lost a campaign. The New York Times, on Musk's last day, called him a drug addict. Quote, he told people he was taking so much ketamine that it was affecting his bladder. He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms, and he traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall. Our very own stupid son of a bitch asked Elon about the Times allegation. Watch.
So, there is a New York Times report today that accuses you of blurring the line between...
Is the New York Times, is that the same publication that got a Pulitzer Prize for false reporting on the Russiagate? Is it the same organization?
I gotta check my
think it is.
Pulitzer,
I think
counter.
it is.
It is.
But so,
I think the judge just ruled against the New York Times for their lies about the Russiagate hoax, and that they might have to give back that Pulitzer Prize. That New York Times, let's move on.
There was an actual drug addict who last spring was kind of running the country, and the Times didn't notice. They found cocaine in the White House, and the Times never cared. And they never accused Hunter, but they're accusing Musk with no evidence. CNN jumped in and defended the Times.
I think we have to revisit it and not let it stand alone, because he talks about the Russia hoax. We just have to be very clear that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. The Mueller report did not find collusion, but Mueller was very clear he did not exonerate Trump.
Yeah, so CNN admitted we were right about Biden's brain, the border, inflation, but they just won't let go of the Russia hoax. MSNBC said Musk's more deadly than the Vietnam War.
He talked about bringing the wood chipper to USAID. They have a tracker. 300,000 deaths, according to a Boston University professor, because of the aid cuts so far, 200 of them children. Okay, Vietnam War, y'all remember that? 60,000 U.S. service members died. This is 5 times more deaths.
Cutting spending's a war crime in Washington. Musk doged Sesame Street in Iraq, and they're calling it an atrocity. Anyone who dies in Africa, now it's Elon's fault. And by the way, if there's 300,000 deaths since Doge, where are the bodies? Why doesn't MSNBC have videos of mass graves? A professor's making up numbers so MSNBC can accuse him of genocide and Democrats can open an investigation. That's exactly how hoaxes start.
I think some crimes may have been committed over the past 3 or 4 months, and they are going to come to light. One way or another, we're going to come to light, even if it takes us getting into power again. But we will subpoena people and find out.
Elon puts his 5 companies on ice for 4 months to help cut pork and make government more efficient. And Democrats firebombed his cars and called him a Nazi and accused him of taking drugs. Oh, and as a cherry on top, if they take the House back, they're going to make his life hell and fine his companies. They've already made the world's wealthiest man the Republican Party's biggest donor. And they keep going. They've made themselves the enemy in his eyes. Do you think Musk's going to let this slide?
I think the fundamental moral flaw of the left is empathy for the criminals and not empathy for the victims. Empathy for the criminals, but not empathy for the victims. And there's been way too much of that. That needs to stop. To the president's point, there's been immense judicial overreach that is unconstitutional. That was never intended. And it's undermining the people's faith in the legal system. It needs to stop. It's gone too far.
The country's begging the Democrats to get it together so we can work together for the good of the country. Building and maintaining human civilization's serious business. We can lose this country like that. The Roman Empire, the British Empire, here one day, gone the next. What does it say about how serious the Democrats are when they make Kamala Harris AI czar and spend trillions on windmills that don't work? Wall Street's starting to get it. Here's JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon.
The Biden administration is giving all its money to EVs and cars and wasting a lot of money on green stuff, which isn't going to work, and all that. Do you think people in rural cities, do you think people in inner cities thought they were getting anything? Do you think that those people think that the American government is fair and competent and that this was in their best interest? Their schools don't work. They're not getting the skills they need, and you heard that just now. So we got to acknowledge these. And I also call it blue tape. Because, you know, Republicans, you generally don't like red tape. You understand the devastation of it. But, you know, most Democrats, they love it. They want more of it. And they want to make it so confusing you can't even meet the rules, so you get punished and fined afterwards.
If we doge the Democrats, we'd make America so efficient. Imagine what we could accomplish. Elon's building robo-taxis. I saw him in L.A. last weekend. Computerized cars are just picking people up and taking them to dinner. He's building tunnels in Vegas and building rockets to go to Mars, putting chips in people's brains to cure ALS.
It's an incredible privilege to be a part of this and, you know, have someone like Elon Musk, one of the most powerful men in the world, so involved, so interested in affecting my life and people with disabilities right now. I just can't even put it into words. And the guys and gals at Neuralink, they are the hardest workers that I've ever met in my life, and they have such passion for helping people.
We're in the beginning of the AI revolution, and the world's about to change big. We have a pioneer who broke the mold like Rockefeller or Ford or Jobs. Elon's not perfect, nobody is, but he's not a villain. He's a legend. And if we want successful public servants to serve the country like they used to, instead of lazy lawyers who get elected to Congress and spend all day fundraising and making up lies, we have to support them, whether they're on the right or the left. We shouldn't fight just to fight because they're on the other side. If there's a Democrat billionaire who wants to upgrade the old computers in Washington, we'll back that. We have to be grateful when people help us instead of when they help themselves. This country has to come together so that we don't get left behind.
And welcome to this special edition of Hannity. All right, who knew what? What did they know? When did they know it? And who was really in charge of your country for the last 4 years? Now, remember earlier this week, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, he sounded the alarm over Biden's use of the auto pen. He did it right here on this show. Here's a reminder.
Who was giving the authority for use of the auto pen? Remember, Sean, there was more activity in the last 100 days of the Biden administration than the first 3.5 years of the Biden administration. Many of the far-reaching executive orders were signed during the last 100 days, and they were all signed by the auto pen.
Oh, the auto pen. 3.5 years, more in the last 100 days. Did Joe know about it? We'd like answers. Anyway, for years, we on this program, we made it important to tell you the truth about Joe Biden, his obvious, very obvious cognitive decline. We started reporting on it in 2019. We'll get to that in a minute. While the state-run legacy media mob and Democrats, they were lying to you day in and day out. Cheap, fake videos. They weren't cheap, fake videos. Now, finally, the truth has been revealed about this abuse of the office of the presidency and the subsequent cover-up, which has now quickly become the biggest presidential White House scandal in our country's history. Now, the media will ignore that, too. The left so hated Donald Trump, they hated him so much that they were willing to put your national security at risk. And as one aide even admitted to fake Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, even act undemocratically. And democracy's in peril, they said before the election. And meanwhile, it was by them. Just to stop Donald Trump and just show proof of life occasionally. You know, he doesn't really have to run things if he's reelected. We'll just, trot him out every once in a while, let everybody know he's alive, and let him go back and take a nap. And by the way, let unknown people run the country. Almost every Democrat White House staffer, so-called journalist, I said in 2007, journalism is dead. Everyone in the fake news media mob, they all work to deceive the American public because they don't like Donald Trump and they don't like the American people and their choice. You all deserve answers. And finally, we are starting to get some. We will be unrelenting on this show. We're going to get to the bottom of all of this. Now, according to Fake Jake and Alex Thompson's book, Biden needed a script just to get through cabinet meetings, with one cabinet member telling Tapper and Thompson, quote, the cabinet meetings were terrible and at times uncomfortable, and they were from the beginning. I don't recall a great cabinet meeting in terms of his presence. So they were all scripted. And no kidding. I'm serious, no kidding. And don't forget, Joe couldn't even conduct the full meetings himself. Remember, he had to turn it over to Dr. Jill, his wife. She wasn't elected to any position. Take a look.
This is the first time Jill has joined us, and it goes to show how important the issue is, which she's about to speak to the both of us. Today, at the top of our meeting, Jill's going to give an update on the House initiative, White House initiative, to fundamentally change the approach and fund how we approach and fund women's health services. So I'd like to turn it over to Jill and for any comments she has, and it's all yours, kid.
Thank you.
All yours, kid. He reads the script. You know, the speechwriters, according to the book, shrank not only the vocabulary, but they shrank the speech because they knew he was incapable of getting through this. Now, Here's a question a lot of people probably are not going to like that I ask. What did his family know? What did his wife know? What did his children know? What did his grandchildren know? They had to see far worse than the rest of the country. You probably only saw Joe at his best. They would be complicit. Also, to me, tough questions need to be asked of every single family member, starting with Dr. Jill and Hunter. Now, yesterday, when asked about Jill Biden potentially testifying before Congress, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had this to say.
Is the president satisfied with aides only sitting for these transcribed interviews, or would he also like to see some kind of testimony from the former First Lady, Dr. Biden?
I think, frankly, the former First Lady should certainly speak up about what she saw in regards to her husband and when she saw it and what she knew, because I think anybody looking again at the videos and photo evidence of Joe Biden with your own eyes and a little bit of common sense can see this was a clear cover-up, and Jill Biden was certainly complicit in that cover-up. There's documentation, video evidence of her clearly shielding her husband away from the cameras. They were just on The View last week. She was saying everything is fine. She's still lying to the American people. She still thinks the American public are so stupid that they're going to believe her lies. And frankly, it's insulting, and she needs to answer for it.
Remember Joey, he would shake like air. Nobody's there. And then somebody would have to come out. Oh, no, come on, walk off this way, Joe. That went on for 4 years. What we're seeing now is only the tip of the iceberg as it relates to the scandal. And frankly, this is like the dumbest lie ever told. Democrats, their allies in the state-run legacy media mob, they simply asked you not to believe your lying eyes for years. Joe Biden's cognitive decline was readily apparent to everyone. From the moment Biden jumped in the presidential race, we identified it in 2019. His struggles were clear, unambiguous, they were obvious. This was not the same guy that was Obama's vice president, not the same guy that was a senator. He didn't walk the same, he didn't look the same, he didn't sound the same. And you know what? Don't take my word for it. Take a look at some of, well, the lowlights.
If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330. We choose truth over facts. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words. It's time for America to get back up on its feet and once again fight for the proposition that we hold these truths to be self-evident. Sounds corny. Not a joke. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. You know how we talk about it. Are we the people?
The record player, truth over facts, created by the thing, the God, the creator of everything. Democrats, the media mob, lied to you over and over again. They claimed that they showed you the real Joe Biden, but they did not. On this program, we take great pride in telling you the truth. We showed you the real Joe Biden. We sounded the alarm starting in 2019 about his struggles. We did it from the very beginning. We have the tape to prove it. Take a look.
There is a panic. All Joe being Joe, the verbal mishaps are piling up by the second, raising serious questions among Democrats about his viability. It is fair for every American to ask whether or not this 78-year-old has the strength, the stamina, the focus, and the capacity to handle what is by far the toughest job in the world. Now, to me, quid pro quo Joe seems to be in a rapid state of decline and not up to the rigors needed even on a campaign.
Only after his disastrous debate with President Trump last June, when it became apparent he had no chance of winning re-election, all of a sudden they noticed everything we'd been telling you from 2019 onward. Did the left reverse course and state the obvious? No, they did it for political expediency. This was a man completely incapable of doing what is the hardest job in the world. Now, amid the growing evidence of the biggest cover-up in White House and presidential history, Biden reemerged today to deliver a Memorial Day address nearly a week late. And let's just say he didn't exactly ease anyone's concerns. Take a look.
Our politics have become so divided and so bitter All the years I've been doing this, I never thought we'd get to this point, but we are. Our troops don't wear a uniform that says I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. It says I'm an American. I'm an American. That's who I am. Every nation was founded on geography, ethnicity, some unifying principle, but not an idea. The idea of America was founded on, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We mean it. That's who we are. American democracy has endured for nearly 250 years. Every generation has to fight to maintain that democracy. Every time, every generation.
Now, after screaming those remarks, he spoke to reporters and launched into more rambling, mumbling, bumbling, bizarre moments. Take a look.
So I feel like everybody expects. I've done it all because I'm loyal. I do it every damn year.
And there's also been a lot of discussion recently about your mental and physical capabilities while you were in office.
You can see that. I'm mentally incompetent, and I can't walk, and I could beat the hell out of both of them.
Well, do you want to reply to any of those reports, and also to the fact that there are some Democrats who are now questioning whether you should have run for re-election in the first place?
Why didn't you run against me then?
Do you have anything to say to the press secretary about who went after your wife yesterday at the briefing?
I don't know who the press secretary is.
He can't even climb stairs. He can't even stand up straight. He can't even ride a bicycle. He's going to beat up people? Really? Republicans, they need to get to the bottom of this. This is serious. The country, you deserve the truth, and we need to hold everyone involved in this cover-up. They need to all be held accountable. The House Oversight Committee and their chairman, James Comer, is trying to do just that after sending letters last week demanding for Biden's former White House doctor and senior aides that they all sit for a transcribed interview. And now he says he is open to having Joe Biden himself come testify before the committee. That'll probably be the Her Report 2.0. And speaking with reporters in the Oval Office today, President Trump addressed some of these concerns about Biden's decline, his alleged use of the auto pen, potential future congressional testimony. Take a look.
Do you think that Dr. Jill Biden should also have to come in and testify about what she did or didn't do?
Well, I hate the concept of it. It's the wife of a man who was going through a lot of problems, and everybody that dealt with him understood that. And I guess it came out during the debate loud and clear. That was the biggest signal of all. And I think the auto pen is going to become one of the great scandals of all time, because you have somebody operating it or a number of people operating.
If there was a group of rogue staffers that worked for you who wanted to advance a bill or an executive order without your knowledge, how could they do it? How do they go
Well, it's very
behind
hard
the
because
president?
I'd read your newspapers or your media the next day and I'd say, well, I didn't approve that, and I would find it. I mean, they wouldn't get away with it for long because they'd say, I never signed that. Who the hell signed that?
And on the Senate side, the Judiciary Committee has announced plans to hold a hearing on the Biden cognitive decline cover-up on June the 18th.
Thank you. It's an honor to see me. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's a Jew from Toronto, which means she can't eat Canadian bacon. Human rights lawyer Brooke Goldstein. He's our second favorite Benz after Deep Knee. Former State Department official and executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, Mike Benz. She builds her biceps by lifting her swear jar. Outnumbered co-host Emily Campagno. And finally, old ladies consider his arms weapons of mass seduction. New York Times bestselling author. All right, before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes that we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first time reading them. So if they suck, we'll slather Joe Mackey in baby oil and send him to P. Diddy's prison cell. Yesterday, Kash Patel did an interview with our very own Bret Baier. It's actually a promo for his new movie, Honey, I Shrunk the FBI Director. Check the chair before you do the interview. Oh, my goodness. I hope they're giving him solid food. A highly infectious new COVID strain from China has spread to the U.S. To prevent massive death, people are advised to ignore Anthony Fauci. Oh, you like this one. Director Spike Lee cheered on the New York Knicks last night, looking like what happens if Willy Wonka were to run a concentration camp.
Everyone's waiting for her to laugh.
Yes. Michael Strahan said that while growing up, his parents ate his pet pig, which means Malia and Sasha Obama may finally find out what happened to their pet Cocker Spaniel. Their dad ate dogs. Podcaster Sam Harris said he'd rather have a president in a coma than Donald Trump. Joe Biden was touched by this endorsement. Well, you know, Sunday is June 1st, which means it's the first day of Pride Month. Yes, yes. And seriously, I can't wait for July so I can go back to having sex with women. Massachusetts State Senator Cynthia Cream has introduced a bill that would limit the number of miles that you can drive in your own car. It's part of a bigger plan to keep people from fleeing Cynthia Cream. With a name like that. Major League Baseball is now investing in a women's pro softball league. But hey, if I wanted to see lesbians get to second base, I'd hang out at the parking lot at Home Depot. Karate Kid Legends opens in theaters today, and it features the original Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso, which means he now needs to take Cialis, when he needs to wax off. Democrats are spending $20 million to study how to talk to American men. I could have saved them the money. Sydney Sweeney is now selling bars of soap made out of her own bathwater, which means now teenage boys will start swearing on purpose. World-renowned psychics are predicting an apocalyptic end to 2025. We can only hope it's before Kilmeade writes another book. In Wisconsin, sheriff's deputies used a steam shovel to capture an escaped pig. And it was returned in time to start the show. At this point, I could just make an animal reference and say The View. According to a new poll, 1/3 of Americans deal with bloating, constipation, and massive diarrhea. The remaining 2/3 don't watch Jimmy Fallon's show.
It's funny because it's true.
According to a new study, every 42 seconds, a U.S. couple ends their marriage. Wow, some people have all the luck, said one man. Bonnie Blue, the porn star known for sleeping with over 1,000 men in 12 hours, was seen quickly leaving a soccer game. She left when she found out there were only 11 men per team. Oh, that one was bad? A transgender TikToker says she no longer feels safe at Disney World after a restaurant server called him sir. Well, welcome to my world, said one man. And finally, Dolly Parton's Dollywood earned the title of favorite theme park in the country. Visitors praised the rides, the food, and the enormous tits. I apologize to all of you with big tits. Now, remember when we said Dems are obsessed with words and not deeds? Well, it turns out they can't even get the words right. As the Washington Post notes, several Dems are calling out the party for being too reliant on deliberately confusing jargon, the kind of fancy talk that makes everything more complicated than it needs to be, much like the scarves worn by Mr. Furley. They simply distract and camouflage what's less appealing beneath the surface. They do it to show off, but also to confuse. And they expect you not to admit you're confused, because then you'll be seen as stupid. And boy, does this work on libs who rely so heavily on social status and acceptance from the in-crowd. Words like social equity, gender-affirming care, and reproductive justice, they're designed to sound smart and get nods of approval from other know-it-alls while covering up the idiotic ideas behind them. As Kentucky Democratic Governor Andy Beshear said, Democrats speak like professors and started using advocacy speak that was meant to reduce stigma, but also remove the meaning and emotion behind words. It makes Democrats or candidates using this speech sound like they're not normal. So you get that? The speech makes them sound not normal. But how can you sound normal if the ideas at their root are abnormal? So what if they replace the obtuse language with real words? Then you'd end up in a worse place, revealing truly terrible ideas for everyone to see. The reason you needed the flowery language around identity politics, social justice, and gender ideology is because those ideas are so unbelievably which is why the left focuses only on the how and not the what of the beliefs that contaminate their party. Right, Petey?
There's a condescension that is imputed to Democrats that I think we really need to deal with. So much of politics is not just how you make people feel, but how you make people feel about themselves. And so much of what they think of you comes down to what they think you think of them. And largely because of our very justified horror at the abuses of Donald Trump as a candidate and as a president, we've said and done things that make voters feel like we're talking about them when we're talking about him.
Well, he said nothing. But he's right on one thing, snobbery. But take that away, what's left? Seriously, is there a non-patronizing way of pushing the same ideas? Please tell me the humble way of telling me you're going to let dudes crush girls in sports. Please respectfully convince us that DEI works and punishing criminals doesn't, or that kids should have their puberty blocked, or that Kamala wasn't as dumb as plant soil. It doesn't work. Because like Joe Biden, their ideas can't stand on their own. It's not just the messaging, it's the message and the messengers, and both suck. Why did Trump succeed? People say he spoke with the vocabulary of a sixth grader. True, because his ideas were solid. You can't get more bare bones than this.
We're going to build a wall. Sleepy Joe, the worst president in history. There are only two genders, male and female. Drill, baby, drill. Make America great again. No, get those lights off. Off. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. Tomorrow, I'm going to come.
See, good ideas don't need fancy language. Work hard, don't spend money you don't have, take care of your family and community, and never turn your problems into someone else's. And always, always delete your browser history. Smart people say complicated things simply. Arrogant people say dumb things in a complicated way. And morons say things like, "You're watching CNN." So when you hear terminology straight from the faculty lounge at Harvard, you know the ideas are as deadly as Jerry Nadler's seat cushion. So I really don't know how the Dems survive once they kill off their rhetoric, because once they take away the loony language of envy, power, and grievance, what's left? It might be nothing, or perhaps something worse. All right. Brooke, a pleasure to see you.
Thanks, darling.
And thank you for laughing at my Jewish joke.
Well, I was going to say, I feel very marginalized and oppressed by your Holocaust and breast jokes. I don't think this is a safe space for well-endowed Jewesses. My truth is not your truth.
Yes.
And like the whole point of these ideological word salads, as you said in the beginning, is to avoid a real conversation. So you don't have to engage in a conversation. So it's almost become these ritualistic incantations. And while the Democrats are taking a good look because they realize Americans are not dumb and we're not buying this anymore, it seeped into our culture. And it's in movies. It's all over the Netflix. It's in our schools. Our K through 12 curriculums are seeped in this woke, progressive and they're still indoctrinating our children. So we need a whole revamp of the educational system. And it's not just the Democratic Party platform. I actually think it's very, very scary and dangerous.
Well said. See? She did that using a first grade vocabulary. So, Mike, I've noticed something really weird. I don't think the right has fancy jargon.
That actually, that's completely true. And I actually think that's a strong suit because it makes you faithful to honesty. You have to be honest because you don't have this sophisticated academic Jenga tower of BS to hide what you're doing. And so it actually makes you less able to pull off slimy, covert political operations because you can't dress stuff up. But it speaks to the voters. And this is where we are now. We're watching this Mean Girls scene play out where the Democrats are sad that fetch has not happened. But it actually plays a key role in the operations that they do, which is why I totally agree with what you said about if you think things are bad for them with this language, imagine what happens when it goes away. When the Disinformation Governance Board came out, that was the first time they called their censorship work, honestly, what it was, disinformation governance. DHS already had those operations run out of their Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is a name that puts you halfway to sleep before you finish saying it. And they defined cybersecurity to include misinformation on the internet. But the moment they were honest about what it was, public support collapsed, congressional investigations. Nobody likes pedophiles. But if you say minor attracted person, that does not, the problem is the pig. You can't, they're saying, oh, we put cashmere on the pig. We should dress it up in a silk dress. Nobody likes criminals. When you say justice-involved person, you're still supporting criminals. And so I think your point is exactly right. They need this language.
It is so true. It is like once you place the spotlight on like trans and sports, nobody liked it. So they had to talk about equity and equality and that these were real women. And then you find out it's all
Yeah, once you translated the trans fabric, then all of a sudden you were like, what's left is a steaming pile of horse crap. I find it so ironic too, you guys, because as an attorney, you have to take these like continuing legal education courses, right? Once a month you have to sit down for an hour, and usually it's a deep dive into some type of subject matter. It's a specific criminal statute or something.
Are you doing that?
No, this month though, literally this week, it was words matter. So they're forcing attorneys to sit down for an hour and listen to Words Matter, and they say apply small language shifts to improve connections one word at a time. Because that whole legal bar is still stuck in the old days of knowing that, well, if I say the wrong thing, if I say Indian instead of Indigenous, I'm going to get canceled. If I say sir instead of ma'am, I'm going to get kicked out of Disneyland. Like, the ramifications were so real from the left because they canceled and expelled anyone who used the wrong word. So not only can they not defend their ridiculous ideas using plain speak because the ideas are out of this world, but also if they dare to use any different words, they were going to get kicked out.
Yeah, they had to use the approved language, Tyrus. It is interesting. Brooke said, like, it prevents a real conversation. I think that's deliberate because they lose every conversation.
Well, the Democratic Party can be best described as a woman who's a narcissist who claims to be on the spectrum. They have all the bases covered.
Yes.
You can't call them out on anything because it's not them, it's the spec. So we see that it's called reactive abuse, is what the Democratic Party says. They say a bunch of things, they do a bunch of things, and it picks and prods at us. They tell us that, you know, I have pronouns, you have this, and the average guy is like, oh, okay, and then after a month of this, finally go, enough of this. This is stupid. I'm not calling someone. Oh, toxic male.
Yes.
He's abusive. Oh, he has a problem with trans women.
Yeah.
They never realize that they are the disease. They just get mad that when we sneeze back at them, they go after us for the sneeze. So that's been their whole plan. And what they're doing is they keep saying, okay, what's our next thing that we can do, instead of going with if they really want to turn this around, it's very simple. You out the people that were part of the Biden cover-up in your own party. You clean your party out. Massive fires. Senators have to step down from their own, come from within. Then the American people are like, oh, this is a brand new Democratic Party. What they're trying to do now is they're the same pile of, who said you did? The same pile of, they're just trying to put it in a new box.
Yeah.
And when we open it up, they're like, oh, it's still We're not opening the box anymore. We're returning the center, because the best thing you can do with a person that does that reactive abuse is not respond, although it's difficult, and now, or be the adult in the room and just say no, and the American people are saying no to them. There's no formula. There's nobody who's going to come in and be like, all you have to do is say is, what up, bro? And the guys will be like, whoa, I'm back. No, it's not it.
You know what it is? It's like they painted the turd. And now they want to be rewarded for removing the paint.
And
well, getting rid of the paint. No, the turd's still there, dude.
Oh, but we're going to put glitter on it this time.
Yes.
It was glitter.
Just for June.
Yes, for June.
Yes. I spend all of July trying to get that out of my shower.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.